this man is R9. What makes him so insane, especially at a young age, is the fact that he was technically one of the best players in the world, one of the best players we've ever seen. But then he was also so fast and so strong for his age, and he was playing up against grown men. That's why he was able to play up against guys that were so much older than him, because scene we have ever seen. It's like the story behind it, everything behind it, and then the fact that he put up the numbers to back it all up and led his team to victory. Come on, man.
Still the youngest ever recipient of that famous award.
Yeah, like winning the Ballon d'Or at around 2021 after putting up those numbers is crazy. You know, you have the likes of Messi, you've done it quite early. You look at Erling Haaland, he's probably going to do it this year, but it still doesn't take away from what R9 did, and the fact that he's still to this day the youngest. Okay, some of you really love Ronaldo, and not this Ronaldo, R9, Ronaldo Nazario, the Brazilian one, the OG one. Some of you adore that man. I remember I made that reaction a few months ago. It did well in terms of numbers, but what really surprised me was the amount of comments of people coming for me for saying that he wasn't on the same level as Ronaldo and Messi. I still think Ronaldo and Messi are better than R9, but you know, I still give him his flowers. I still think he's one of the best players of all time. I don't think there's any crime in me saying that he's not better than the two greatest to ever do it. Maybe you throw Maradona into that mix as well. But the plan today is to look back at how good Ronaldo actually was. So without wasting any more time, guys, let's get straight into it.
Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the best known footballers in the world, but he wasn't the man who made the name famous. That honor belongs to Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima,
the original
Ronaldo. During his career, he went by the nickname of O Fenomeno, the Phenomenon. The striker retired almost 10 years ago, and many younger fans will have never seen him at his peak. So in this video we ask...
I mean, I guess, but still, a lot of younger fans won't have seen him on his peak. But that's, I think, the problem with the old guys, because they always say, for example, when they talk to me, they're like, oh, you haven't watched this guy play, so you can't really speak on him. What, like, there aren't games still available on the internet on these guys? Like, there aren't videos like this available? Like, there aren't highlights of these players? Like, we can't look back and look at the numbers? Yes, we can't really see them we can't really watch them live in their prime, but how important is it really to watch a player live in their prime to know how good they are? That's just a whole nother conversation. But let's carry on. Was
Ronaldo actually?
Let's carry on.
Most players spend their teenage years on the bench, not Ronaldo.
Facts.
He was world class before his 20th birthday. In fact, him and Pelé were probably the two best teenagers in football history. Ronaldo moved to Europe aged 18. His first stop was...
You can throw in Mbappe to that mix. You can throw in Messi to that mix. You can throw in Haaland to that mix. I'm not too sure about Ronaldo, because I think Ronaldo got substantially better after he turned 20, but you can throw those five guys into the mix.
Was PSV in the Netherlands.
Yep.
The striker was unstoppable during his 2 years there. He scored 54 goals in 57 games.
That's mad. That's mad. 54 goals in 57 games is mad, especially as a teenager. That's mad.
And Ronaldo moved to Barcelona.
Deservedly so.
One season at the Camp Nou, but boy, what a season it was.
Yeah.
Barcelona won the Copa del Rey and the Cup Winners' Cup, and Ronaldo scored 47 goals in 49 games before he even turned 21. That incredible record helped him win the Ballon d'Or. He's still the youngest ever recipient of that famous award.
Yeah, like winning the Ballon d'Or at around 2021 after putting up those numbers is crazy. You know, you have the likes of Messi, you've done it quite early. You look at Erling Haaland, he's probably going to do it this year, but it still doesn't take away from what R9 did, and the fact that he's still, to this day, the youngest. Give the man his flowers, man.
Next up was a move to Inter Milan. Ronaldo was superb in his first season there. He inspired the Italian side to victory in the UEFA Cup, and at the end of the season, he led Brazil to the World Cup final. Ronaldo was part of the Brazil squad that had won the World Cup in 1994. He didn't play in that tournament, but he was his country's star man 4 years later. Then disaster struck.
Still on the bench on that. Still on the bench on that first World Cup where he won it, and that's the thing. Especially when we're talking about guys like Pele.
You idiot! You're honestly an idiot.
Wrong one.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Especially when we're talking about guys like Pele, and it's like, oh, he has these many trophies, he won this award, but when you don't add context into those statements, it just makes you look dumb. Because as we just saw here, yes, Ronaldo technically won a medal for the 1994 World Cup, but he barely played. He was too young, that squad was too stacked, and he really didn't get a chance to take part in that tournament with the team, and people will still count that as his World Cup. That's why I much prefer to look at players' individual performances and the impact, because people will really talk about 98's World Cup, talking about how he choked in the final, and they won't talk about how good he was in the tournament. And then they'll talk about 2002, which, yes, Ronaldo was amazing in 2002, but he was also amazing in 98, although in the final he had a choke job. And they'll bring out 94 to add into his trophy cabinet. All I'm saying is that stop talking about players' team accomplishments as if they were individual accomplishments, because then you can't really talk about or compare players properly.
On the eve of the final against France, Ronaldo suffered a convulsive fit. Doctors passed him fit to play, but Ronaldo was a shadow of his usual.
He wasn't fit to play. Come on, let's be honest. They only let him play because he's Ronaldo, and they needed him because they were going up against one of the greatest teams, greatest international teams we've ever seen. The likes of Zidane on the team, the likes of Makelele on the team, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, and etc. That team was stacked. The Champs on the team. So they needed Ronaldo to win that game, and even Ronaldo shadowed himself. They still lost. So
Self, and Brazil lost 3-0.
Yeah,
Things got even worse for Ronaldo
they
afterwards.
got done.
He barely played for 3 whole years due to a series of knee injuries. Some thought his career might be over, but Ronaldo didn't give up. He battled his way back in time for the 2002 World Cup, and in a real-life fairy tale, he finished as the tournament's top scorer as Brazil won the trophy.
That whole 2002 World Cup performance from Ronaldo will forever go down as one of the most legendary performances we have ever seen. It's like the story behind it, everything behind it, and then the fact that he put up the numbers to back it all up and led his team to victory. Come on, man. One of the greatest performances in any sport ever.
Spent the next 4 years at Real Madrid. He scored 104 goals in 177 games for the club.
Machine.
A wonderful record. But Madrid's star-studded side only won one.
Look at this team, man. Look at this team. They're called the Galacticos. How they didn't win anything, or like the Champions League mainly? How did they didn't win the Champions League? It's beyond me, man.
La Liga title in that time. Ronaldo then
As Zidane was right. They needed Makelele on that team. They let Makelele go, but they needed him on that team.
Brief spell at AC Milan before returning to his native Brazil, aged 33. In his younger years, Ronaldo was a force of nature. He combined pace, power, and technique to devastating effect.
What this guy just said is exactly what I said on my video. It is exactly what I said on my video when I made the Ronaldo reaction. This man is R9. What makes him so insane, especially at a young age, is the fact that he was technically one of the best players in the world, one of the best players we've ever seen, but then he was also so fast and so strong for his age, and he was playing up against grown men. That's why he was able to play up against guys that were so much older than him, because physically this man was a freak of nature, and that he had the technical ability, being a Brazilian, to back it all up, which was really, really amazing. But anyways, man. Anyways, we carry on.
I've never seen a player able to show such precise control at such a high speed, said former defender Marcel Desailly. Watching him was like watching a character in a video game. His goal for
that French team also had Desailly. I forgot about Desailly.
Barcelona against Compostela summed him up. Ronaldo picked up the ball on the halfway line and used his
won it back.
He
won it back.
Superhuman strength,
got past one,
and scintillating
past
speed
two, 3, 4
to run past half the team. Even Bobby Robson, his own manager, couldn't believe what he'd seen. Robson leapt off the bench and held his head in his hands. Ronaldo helped redefine the centre-forward position. Before the 1990s, most strikers used to just wait around in the penalty area. But Ronaldo loved to move across the pitch and was a magnificent dribbler as well as a reliable finisher.
Look at that finish,
But the
man.
Brazilian's knee problems reduced his mobility. Ronaldo was robbed of the explosive pace he'd had in his early days. He had to adapt his game from 2002 onwards.
Yeah.
Ronaldo was still an excellent goal scorer at Real.
And I'm not trying to throw shade at Ronaldo, but look at this picture, for example. I'm not trying to throw shade at Ronaldo. Hear me out. But does this look like a player that's in top tier shape, even through the t-shirt? Like, you carry on watching,
Ronaldo was
and you watch
still
this
an
play, and you can see like his belly fat moving up and down. Yes, the injuries were there, but that's why I look at guys like CR7 who were able to stay in shape throughout the whole time. And think these small things outside the pitch matter. Again, this is a Ronaldo appreciation video, but after 2002, if he could have done a little bit more to stay in shape, yes, he wouldn't have the explosiveness, but maybe he could have played at the highest level for a bit longer.
Excellent goal scorer at Real. He could hold the ball up and bring his
He was still
teammates
amazing.
into play. His first touch
I just think,
remained
as good as he was,
superb,
he
and
could have
still
carried on a bit
clinical
longer.
Finisher, but he was never quite the same player after those knee problems.
Yep.
There were two Ronaldos, the one before the injuries and the one after.
Facts.
The second version was still brilliant, but the first was one of the greatest strikers of all time. Just listen to what Lionel Messi had to say about him. He was my hero, Messi said. He was the best striker I've ever seen.
He
was
was
so fast he could score from nothing and could shoot the ball better than anyone. If Messi calls you his hero, you must be doing something right. Kaká, Luis Figo and Zinedine Zidane called Ronaldo the best player they'd ever played with. Fabio Capello said he was the best he ever coached.
But back in the day, I can definitely see that. Again, when I was talking about Ronaldo, Messi, and R9, I still think R9 is a top 5, top 10, top 4 player of all time. I just think the other three are just on a different level.
Alessandro Nesta said playing against Ronaldo
He's definitely one
was
of the
worst
greatest.
experience of his career. But where does
That's coming from Nesta. That's crazy.
Ronaldo rank in the all-time pantheon? That's not an easy question to answer.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ronaldo's fault that injuries sidelined him
Oh,
for 3
in terms of strikers, you can have him as the greatest. In terms of strikers, you can have him as the number 1. Luis Suarez has an argument, but I'm not mad at that. In terms of strikers, he can be number 1 for sure.
years and forced him to change his game. But unfortunately, they do affect his ranking. Who knows? If he'd stayed fit, he might have continued to play at his 1990s level for another 10 years. But we can't judge him on what might have happened. We can only work with the evidence we've got. So while Ronaldo was one of the most talented youngsters in football history, he's not quite up there with the 5 main GOAT candidates: Pelé, Diego Maradona.
Stop. R9 better than Pelé. Stop. Stop. R9 better than Pelé. No better than Maradona.
Alfredo Di Stefano,
He's better than Di Stefano. So that's already wrong.
Lionel Messi,
He's not better than Messi.
and Cristiano
Yes, that's not
Ronaldo.
good. So he already beat 2 allegations. So it is exactly as I said. The only 3 players, at least attacking players, that maybe 4 with Suarez. That's besides the point. The only 3 players that have kind of over R9 for sure, offensive players. Not talking about Maldini or Xavi or Busquets, Modric, you know, Neuer. Forget those guys for a second. Just offensively, I'll have Ronaldo, Maradona, and Messi, and then the likes of R9. So I don't think it's that far off. He's definitely better than Pelé and Di Stefano. Let's not be disrespectful.
Yet unlike those 5 superstars, Ronaldo was an out-and-out striker. And in that category,
Proper striker.
he's definitely one of the best we've ever seen.
Exactly.
Just look at his goal record. In 518 club appearances, Ronaldo scored 352 goals. That's an average of 0.68 per game. In other words, he
16.
scored 10 goals every 15 matches throughout an 18-year career.
10 goals every 50 matches. Oh my god. That man is pretty much scoring 20. He's guaranteeing you 20 goals every year.
He was just as sharp for Brazil. Ronaldo scored 62 times in 98 games in the famous yellow shirt. Only Pelé has more goals for the world's most successful national team.
And now
But
Neymar.
it's not just about goals. German legend Gerd Müller was even more prolific than Ronaldo. But Müller was nowhere near as good as an all-round footballer.
Exactly.
Ronaldo's range of skills is what sets him apart. You can make cases for Müller, Eusebio, and Marco van Basten.
Shout to Eusebio. Shout to Eusebio, my guy.
and the best number 9 of all time. But it's hard to argue against O Fenomeno. It's just
It
a
is,
shame
it
that
is.
injuries prevented him from achieving even more. If not for his knees, he would have won 5 Ballon d'Ors, Cafu once said. And who are we to argue?
Yeah. I guess. Speculation, but yeah. I guess you can make that argument. But anyways, guys, as we've just seen for the past 6 to 7 minutes, R9, one of the greatest players of all time. Again, I don't think we needed to watch this video to understand that. I think that reaction we made, the conversations we have about R9 are enough to justify that. It's just, I want to carry on showing appreciation to these players, especially when you guys like this type of content. I see a lot of you guys love R9, so we continue to react to R9 as long as you guys keep giving good feedback. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching it to the end. You're much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys soon.